Now, your life journey, man, brings you to working with and working for at that point in time one of the most iconic Black directors, Spike Lee.
Right.
Do the right thing, man. Talk about that experience. Is there anything that you learned, or how did you learn from Spike?
I mean, I learned from Spike earlier on from just um, seeing him doing the work, and I wasn't even out of school yet when he did She's Gotta Have It. But I remember even I'm shooting my thesis film, and I got on the cap, flipped up, the little biker cap. I didn't even ride the bike. I just had the cap because he had the cap. Plays
Right.
Lawrence Blackman. So he was a big inspiration to me, just seeing a young, hip Brooklyn cat doing it, and everyone was always talking about Spike Lee, Spike Lee, Spike Lee. So he was more of an incentive to keep going. So I never knew that one day I would be working for him, but I had just graduated. I had worked on one movie called Death by Temptation, and then everybody from that movie, including the DP Ernest Dickerson, went on to work on Do the Right Thing, and I eventually found myself on that set working in the sound department. So I sort of settled into the sound department, not by accident, but sort of by destiny.
Now, you said Ernest Dickerson. That was Juice, right? Ernest Dickerson.
Yeah, he did Juice. That was a little later, but yeah.
Wow. So yeah, man, you're working with these iconic people who will go on to even make, bigger names for themselves. And here you are right there in the mix, doing your thing. And so then, while you're in the sound audio, department, you start working on some music videos, man. Like, talk about, the late 80s and I mean, legends, Queen Latifah, Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, man. Talk a little bit about that. Like, at one point in
Right.
time,
Okay. So
go
yeah.
ahead.
So
You like,
after I finished Do the Right Thing, or while I was, yeah, it's kind of after I finished it, I found myself to enjoy doing playback. So I was basically doing playback, which is a person who gets the music from the record label and plays the music back on set. Now people do it on their iPhone, but back then it was a whole setup, time code slate and all that stuff, speakers. Sometimes you need a big system, so sometimes you need a portable system. So on the bigger videos or on the videos, we had to use sync sound, and digital wasn't even around. So you needed something that's going to stay in sync. So the Nagar stayed in sync. So I was working with people like KRS-One, Queen Latifah, Jungle Brothers, Naughty by Nature. Actually, I produced the first Naughty by Nature music video. I forgot about that part, but we'll keep it pushing to the audio.
hey, shout out to Naughty, man. Jers, Newark,
Yeah.
Brick City, stand up.
So yeah, I found myself being at least on 50 to 60% of the rap and R&B videos shot in New York, because most of the directors were white, most of the production companies were white, and most of the artists were Black. So they wanted to at least have a couple of Black people on set. So I was a freelance sound person. So I would go from set to set to set to set to set. So I would meet all these artists who were already established or on the come up. So that was kind of a journey for a few years. I was just doing that. In the back of my head, I want to direct and blah, blah, blah. But that's what I was doing. And then the
Right.
next movie was Mo Better Blues that I
Mm.
worked on.
Oh,
And then
wow.
that one, since I was already doing playback, I was the playback person on Mo Better Blues. So all the music that Denzel and Wesley and they're playing, that's really me playing it back on set. So that was my gig for a hot second.
Bro. So, you're on
And then
some.
right after that, went on the Jingling Baby with LL and a big old butt. I mean, it keeps going, dude. We can just have a whole conversation on just those.
Hey,
but
look,
I know we're
ain't
trying to
nothing wrong with
stretch it
that.
out a
You know
little
what
bit.
I'm saying? Jingling baby, come on. LL, those are classics. And I mean, for you, you kind of take it in stride, but for some people, this is super inspirational for them because, seeing
Right.
these videos, being a part of them, knowing what they did to the culture, knowing how they inspired people, knowing how people now saw this and went on to, become different people in their own right. You know what I'm saying? I think that
Right.
it's just great. And so for you, you lived it. And it
Right.
is
Mama
great to
Said Knock You Out. I was there. I was there for that one. Round the Way Girl. That was my black Jeep Wrangler that he was riding around in.
oh
Uh, I was
that's
driving
right.
it actually.
Abdul's okay. So that's a
My
exclusive
Jeep,
right there.
I had the Jeep, so it would pop up in all these other videos. Also, just like, oh, can we use your Jeep in the shot?
Oh,
I think
that's
the other
dope.
one was Gangstar was in How to Get a Rep. My Jeep was in there as well. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Nah, that's not digressing at all, man. That's hip hop, to the fullest. And Yo, that's just a story right there. That's a storied past. MTV, talk about because you're at this point in time, like you said, you were doing a lot of playback, but how do you make that transition into video directing? I mean, there's a lot of people that can learn from your story and learn how you were able to actually, make that move, So how did that come about?
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say back then because it was a little more regulated. Record labels had more money to spend. Well, that's the most important part. Record labels had more money to spend. So I was going from job to job to job, and there's these people who work for the record label who are quote unquote the video commissioner. So the video commissioner would go from job to job to job. And since I was going from job to job to job, I would befriend them and be friendly with them because I'm the one who's dealing with the music, which is directly what they're there for, them and the artist. I got to play the song for the artist. So I usually get friendly with the artist. So I just became a personable person and start putting in the bug in some of these music video commissioners' ears. Like, I want to direct, by the way, I want to direct. And they're like, oh, okay, have you directed before? No, I haven't. I went to film school. Yeah, and but I don't discourage anyone going to film school because that's where you learn how to do stuff the right way instead of trial by error. But I leave it up to people to make their own choices. But me going to film school for 4 years helped so much. I would never recommend not going. But I think basically I had to find a way into directing. So I said, well, you know what? I'm a good editor and I know music. So I started editing a lot of projects, a lot of music videos. So I started doing real videos, with Salt-N-Pepa and Kwame and a lot of people, a lot of like up and comers or people who are already established. So I built up this reel of just what I can edit to prove I can take the footage and piece it together. But also I was already on the set doing playback. So I'm learning how other people are directing. How do they talk to the artists? How do they talk to the camera people? How do they get their vision on screen within a certain amount of time? How do you deal with stress? Stuff like that. Stuff you can't learn reading, you got to actually experience it. So I'm just taking it all in. I'm like shadowing all these directors, but I'm getting paid to do it because I'm doing playback. And then I was lucky enough to be able to work on the set doing playback and then go edit the video. So it's almost like I'm just looking and see what they did, and I'm going to decide how I'm going to edit it while I'm watching them actually do it. So I would get 2 paychecks for that. So once I had that reel, I put a bug in a lot of these people's ears and eventually spoke to Ann Carly at Jive Records. And I was like, I've got all these videos that I edited. Can you give me a video? Well, they don't just give it to you. You have to write a treatment. You have to submit a treatment, which is the idea, the concept for the video. And then you got to do a budget. So I did a budget. It was for this group called Too Many. It was featuring Will Smith. So I was able to work with the Fresh Prince on my first video. And that was the first video I ever did. Too Many, Where's the Party?
Bro, you talked about something I think is really important. People just think, even now with music videos, now everybody's doing stuff on their iPhones and everything. But you were able to multitask and handle a bunch of different things. And one of the things I know you're known for, Abdul, is you're known for just being calm amongst the storm. Like when you're on set, doing films or videos or whatever, there's a lot of stress that's related to it. Some of the projects I know I've been on, they might be $1 million projects or whatever, and the stress level is out of the world. Like there's so much riding on it. The production company, the network, they're all looking at everything that happens. And so to be a leader in those situations and to keep your calm and to have that kind of prevail over the set for everybody, from the PAs to the DPs to the camera operators to, gaffers and everybody, and keep everybody calm. Like, what is it about you and your style that allows you to kind of lead the way in such a calm posture?
Right. Well, thank you. I'm just calm on the outside, but the inside is chaos and calamity. But I'll never let it show. But that's just my personality. I'm very laid back. I think there was one director who I did tons of playback for. His name was Lionel Martin, the Vid Kid. He was very cool and relaxed. So I sort of like, we didn't trade personalities or anything, but I just saw how he directed. He wasn't rude. He was very focused. So I sort of admired how he worked. and realize that if you're the captain of the ship, you have to steer that ship no matter if it's in a storm or not. My focus is the artists. Make sure the artists are happy and the record label, and then my crew. So you have to sort of wear different hats, talk to people different ways, but the most important thing is to stay calm and collective and just lead, do your job. You know what I mean? You can't do your job all crazy because it's gonna make everybody else crazy.
Facts, facts.
So, you know, it's part of my personality also. I mean, some people think I'm a little too laid back, but I really just I'm there to do a job, and I'm there to make sure that my clients are happy.
Bro,
And
you gotta
if they see me stressing out, they're gonna stress out, and we don't want that.
you got a real soothing, presence about you, bro. And that's a compliment to you and to your background and everybody that helped to kind of shape you.